This is my ledger. This is the people that owe at the nice inn. I go over there and I loan them money. And this is what the rooms. I have a debit card I let them use if they need money, like got to get tickets or money to do something. And then it's really considered as the Helping Hand Outreach debit card because it ain't got no money on it. So even if they try to be something funny, it's their money anyway. And this is what my church in its present ministry and other churches, even if you ain't got a lot of money, it's going to be hard getting people back into the building. People want to see churches doing something. We got to do something to bring them back into the building because God has did what he, I'm sure, didn't want to do. But he has exposed the people who he entrusted in the building. Now you don't have to be in the building. You can get TV ministry. You can get saved back through television now. You can get sermons. You can get prayer. You can get everything that a building can give you now. And this is what I'm trying to tell the people who I'm connected to in this present ministry and all over. I pray that they understand after COVID-19, it's going to be hard. And it's going to take people like me who God is going to use, who appreciate, who value, who realize that the little people time is now. The insignificant people, the people like David who killed Goliath. Not that he only killed Goliath, he cut his head off. People think he killed Goliath by a stone. It wasn't a stone. It was when he cut his head off. I cut my head off for not having finances. Then God prepared me to be like Joseph. He threw me in the pit. Then he put me in prison. Then he put me in the palace. Now I'm ruler over Egypt. And what I mean is a ruler over Egypt when it comes to my Helping Hand Outreach, rising up in the middle of the pandemic. I got more now to help people than I had before the pandemic. And he didn't do everything he did when he did with Joseph because I got the Joseph spirit. I got the David spirits. But he did one thing that I realized that Joseph realized. God has been with me for 20 years and beyond that. And this is what I realize. That's why I'm in the land of Egypt. That's the reason why I can do these things for the people. That's the reason why I'm up here doing Helping Hand Ministry. Helping Hand Ministry. I got a building. I got a little office. Right now, it's a little bitty office, but it's going to be a big building. And I'm going to have many people, not people who got stuff, people who never had anything, so they'll be able to be appreciated. My ministry is to help out those who really is hurt and struggling, and people really have forgot about. Going to hotels, finding out do they have anyone here that have children. And if they do, I'm going to pay their rent like I'm doing now. I'm going to be able to do food and give them food cards and things like that, and education and directing. Hopefully my church will open up computer classes. We have to do some more, God's people. We got to do some way more. We must do some way more, God's people. It is going to be hard. It is going to be hard. Gift cards, T-shirts, mugs. We need more than that. We need to give like we never gave before. We need to open up our parking lots and make a drive-through, give out masks, hand sanitizers, gloves, give out food boxes, book bags for boys and girls. We need to do something. And if it get too cold, we need to do a drive-through and give out boxes for Thanksgiving. We'll give out Christmas boxes. We need to give. It doesn't matter how much money we got. No church is doing 100% capacity, so that means that the monies, if they still receiving tithes and offerings, you can use some of that If you believe what you taught us, little is much when God is in it. If 10 people are paying tithes, that's enough to do something. Because the bill shouldn't be that high, because the operation of the building is not 100% capacity. The Catholic churches out here in Southfield and Farmington, where I connected some of the people to get their rent paid, they paid over now about 20 people, 300 and some more a week, more than 2 or 3 weeks. The black churches, they're not doing anything. They're doing parking lot churches. They telling you pay your tithes and offering. Come on, y'all. Come on. God is talking to his people. It's time for us to give. Give. Give the people something. A lot of churches, you got to change your ways. You got the tradition, looking down on people, the jealousy, the cliques, the pastors and them sleeping with everybody, the ministers and them disrating, the deacons and them and everything but what they supposed to be in. The ushers and them ushering everybody out the church instead of in the church. A change must come. A change must come, not just in the White House. A change must come in God's house. A change must come in God's house, and I'm speaking truth to power. I am a product of what church people can do to people who just want a fair chance to receive what they said that God gave them. A free will, a free choice. Not no judgmental, putting you down and all this, trying to hurt people in God's house. God's people, First Chronicles 7:14, if my people was called by my name, that's for y'all. Turn. Y'all have turned so many people from God's house. Now your job is going to be just as hard as Kamala Harris and Joe Biden when they get in the White House, cleaning up the mess of what these fools have done. And God's people, the ones that's left, because many of them, just like worldly people, a lot of God's people is going to be dead through this COVID-19. And I'm not talking about physical, I'm talking about spiritually dead. So whoever survived from this COVID-19 and you still consider yourself as a man or woman of God, your job just got harder. It's going to be harder to bring people back in the building. So you better start asking God, give me new, fresh, young, powerful ideas. Make me a leader, but make me be a leader that people will be honorable to follow. I watch my Bible study for months after months. I barely ever see my leaders on there. I barely ever seen them on there, but they want to be on there praying. They want to be on there being seen. It is leaders that's caused me to do the things that I decided not to do in God's house. It was leaders. It was leaders when they're in charge of something. I don't go by what they say. I always look at what they do. They be in charge of something, but they always late. They never there. They hardly ever even know what they're in charge of, but trying to tell you how you should be a part of what they want you to be. They over the prayer team. They ain't really doing what they supposed to do. They over the deacon. They over the usher. They over Sunday school. Wherever they over, a lot of them just over it for the grain, the glory, the fame, the fortune. And many of them have fell off quicker than the worldly people when COVID-19 hit. And when it finally shut down on March 15th, people, almost a lot of people I knew that's supposed to be church people. Oh, the comments I was reading over the Bible study and whenever people had an opportunity to make comments, saying the same stuff they were saying when they were good times. That's silly. You shouldn't have the same downfall, the same this, the same hardship, all this that you had, that you said that you was going through before this COVID-19 even blindsided a lot of people. And this is what We got a lot of people who've been churching, but they ain't been wording. I thank God I was a word person and not a church person. And that's the reason why I have, through the help of my Father, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, Gabriel, Michael, my angels, my first and second, the lieutenant angels, and all my other angels, 20 years later, I'm standing in my first building for my helping hand outreach. 20 years ago, I had fighting hands. God is using people like me. There's a lot of us out there, those ones who people thought that God wouldn't use us. God couldn't use us. The word wouldn't work for us. They the ones that's no more. Still saying that same old, still got them same old, nowhere going, no firing going, no power going, no encouraging going, no get up and going sermons. Still trying to motivate people the same way. It ain't working. It ain't working. It ain't working. Judgment is not just on America. Judgment is not just on Fat Elvis. Judgmental is on God's people, because God said he gonna judge his people first. Y'all better get right and get better leaders, get stronger leaders, get leaders that's in there to do what it is that they're supposed to do for God and God purpose and God directions and God's things that he need. And quit telling people give your money to God. Quit telling people you come to church for God. Quit telling people everything you doing is before God. No, that's why we can't catch nobody. That's why we can't get nobody. We ain't going to church for God. We're going to church because of God. We ain't giving our money for God. We ain't to God. We giving our money because of God. Because if we don't have nothing to give, how can we give it for God? God give us to be able to give. Quit saying that we need tithes and offering to build up God. No, we need tithes and offering to build up the kingdom's work, to pay the lights and gas bill, to do the things that we need to be able to do outreach, and to do the things we need to do able to do in our neighborhoods. We need to quit telling people we doing stuff for God. We're not doing anything for God. We're doing it because of God. And that's what the new reach out need to be. If you want to reach the dark people, the dark-minded people, we must have a different way of this. We must. It's a new day, my sisters and brothers. And God is calling on those ones who he had put in charge before COVID-19. Because it was people like me used to say all the time. And I used to be in Christian House of Prayer. I used to be in Goodwill. And now I am in his present ministry. And the only reason I was in 3 churches, I started off in Christian House of Prayer, my foundation, for 2 years. Then I realized I had outgrown that church. Then God put me in Goodwill for 14 years. And Pastor Winfrey retired out, so that's why I ended up going to in this present ministry. And right now, I've been there since 2018, but not as much because of the COVID-19 this year. But I'm a Sunday school teacher. I'm on the intercessor prayer team. I'm a motivator. I'm an encourager. I'm a giver. I'm a student of the word. And all this was before I got to in his present ministry. All this, I got my foundation from Christian House of Prayer, and then I built 14 years on a solid rock, and the rest I got from up under the leadership of Pastor Winfrey. And I thank God, because I am a student of the word. It behooves me when I run into people. All they know is God and God's name. God more than that. And if you don't even acknowledge his son, I don't even really care about what you're even talking about, because you can't talk about God without talking about his son. People, it's time to speak truth to power. Truth to power. And God has chosen a little old me A little old nobody who everybody threw away. But this year, I turned 20, and by 2021, I'll be 21, and I'll be doing a new video, and I'll be saying, this is the year that God has risen me above all things. And this is the year that I no longer tell people who I am. This is the year I let God show you who I am, because I am who he say I am. And I'm more than a conqueror.